Hi and welcome to another episode of Make Your Own Mask. So, I've made one mask so far, not the Iron Man helmet, that came pre-made, but next to it, there. So, this is my demon mask. Scary. So, this is my first attempt at making a mask. Seen it in a couple of my TikTok videos, so if you're not on my TikTok, go and follow my links and that will take you to my TikTok page where I've done a few videos with this bad boy. It's not very well made, it's a bit cracky now, and well, it was a first attempt. But while making this, odd thing happened. I was making it live on a TikTok, and a lot of people thought I was making the plant from Super Mario Brothers, with the film just come out, which I'm sure you're all aware of. Got me thinking, I wanted a demon mask, but I had a spare. So let's make the plant from Super Mario Brothers. So for the Super Mario Brothers, I have one mask, courtesy of Hobbycraft. Acrylic paints, courtesy of Hobbycraft. Paintbrushes. And PVA glue, courtesy of Hobbycraft. But none of this would be possible without some air dry clay. Again, courtesy of Hobbycraft, of course. I shop at Hobbycraft a lot. Right, so the first thing we are going to be doing is painting the mask. We do this because once we put the clay on, and there's going to be a lot of clay, we're not going to be able to get underneath to paint it. So because we're a plant, we don't want our eyes being seen, do we? So what we're going to be doing is the mouth is going to be from the eyebrow ridge all the way round, probably underneath the nose, and we'll have the teeth laying on top. The idea is to have the teeth covering the eyes, so the eyes are not as visible as everything else. Obviously, when you wear the mask, it's probably best to have some darkness around your eyes. Now, I'm not talking about the tiredness that's under mine, but maybe a little bit of black face paint just to cover the top of the eyelids and over, just around those bits, just to make sure it blends in with the rest of the mask. I won't be doing that today. We are going to be doing a part one, which is going to be covering the painting of the mask and the making the teeth and the lips out of the clay. So first things first, use a sponge, because that seems to blend in the mask a little bit nicer. And let's start with our black paint. Just put a little bit on the sponge. Make sure you do cover all the surfaces, and make sure if you are a child under the age of 18 that you're asking a parent to supervise, and obviously their permission. Children should not be buying these paints anyway. So let's put on a nice layer of black paint, just like that. Now, with the previous mask, I found out that you will need a couple of layers. So even though it looks quite nice there, once it dries, it does soak into the pores of the mask. So you will need a couple of layers. Okay, so that's your mouth area of the mask covered. Now don't worry, the lines don't have to be perfect. It is just shading, because hopefully when it comes to moulding your clay, it should overlap between the black there. So you should get a nice line between the black and the red there. Doesn't matter if it goes over a little bit, because it will be hidden by the clay that goes over the top. You'll also see, unlike the demon mask, that I have put it triangular to each end. So if you look at the movie and the video game, you'll see that the mouths of the plants go down into a triangle at each side rather than rounded. So I've put down a triangular line on both sides. Now that that has dried quite nicely, I'm going to be moving on to doing these parts. Now, obviously this is red with white dots, but I'm going to be covering the whole of the rest of the area in red, and then I'm going to be moulding the dots out of the clay, painting those white, and then sticking them on top to give it more of a 3D style look rather than a flat look. So again, on the mask, I'm going to be using the sponge with the red paint this time. Again, it doesn't matter if you go over the lines of the mask from previous painting, because your clay should be laying on top of this. Also, you can afford to be quite generous with the amount of paint that goes on, as it all does soak into the mask, and you will most likely be doing 2 coats, if not more, once it's dried. So just continue all the way around, trying to cover all areas with the paint, and try and go as close to the edge as you can. So as you can see now, I just pinch the nose and take it up. There we go. So that's it, with the red on the top and on the bottom. As I said, you don't need to worry about these little lines here, because these will all be covered by your modelling clay. So there you have the mouth section with the black, and your red section with the rest of the head going round. Now, with your air dry clay, it's important to keep it in a sealed container, as it does exactly what it says on the tin, which is air dry. So you need to use it quite quickly, as the outside starts to dry quite quickly. So you just want little bits. Try and keep it moist, and I find it best to use your fingers in order to mould it. Now, with regards to this being cartoon styled, you want it to be not sharp and not as menacing as the demon mask up there. So I would suggest looking at the plants that you have teeth like that, so almost like a thin arrowhead, and that should be a nice size on your mask. Obviously, imagine you've got the lips that are going to be protruding out to come down nicely as your teeth across your eyes there. And obviously you're going to have an entire row going across, but I think that would be a nice size for the cartoon style teeth. So I know I've got a big nose, but say around about the size of your nose. So you can measure it across your own face, from your eyeball down to about your nose bridge, or that big, if that's any help to you. I'm not great with exact measurements, and as we want this to be cartoon styled, I would suggest it to be quite thin and quite nicely shaped as much as you can. So you're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would go with 12 teeth in all, but we'll see. We'll see when it comes to it. So, as promised, there are 12 teeth of all different sizes and shapes. And remember what I stated about the dots as well. So I've done a number of dots just by rolling a little bit of clay in my hands, in my fingertips, and then just once they're nice and rounded, pressing down between the thumb and the forefinger just to make it nice and thin and circular around about, and then placing down onto the side. You'll see they are all different shapes as well, all different sizes. This is just to add a little bit more interest to the piece. So, the nice thing about air dry clay is that you don't need an oven. So, children can do this as well, obviously supervised by an adult, as it does get messy. And you don't want this going into people's mouths because it can be quite nasty stuff. So, air dry, exactly what it says on the tin. Leave this overnight, and when I come back tomorrow, it will be nice and hardened and ready to be glued onto our mask. Now, I will be using PVA glue, as it's nice, it's easy, it's cheap, and you get quite a large amount of it. Again, children supervised. You can use any glue that you like, but I find that does work quite well with the clay and with the mask. As per that, I glued that onto there, and it's lasted quite a few videos so far, and will last quite a few more. If you do wish to do any detailing on clay, I find using a small screwdriver works quite well, just to put in any notches and any little details that you want. I will be doing a further video on that at another time, for some more detailed masks that I'm going to be doing, such as the Demogorgon, and a few others with regards to Marvel objects. So, if you've enjoyed today's video and you want a part 2, please do subscribe to my channel. I will be putting a part 2 up shortly, as soon as these dry tomorrow and I'm able to continue with the mask. So do put in the comments if there's any masks that you would like to see me make, and if you'd like any further clarification on anything from today, or where to get your materials from, Hobbycraft. Even if they don't have it in stock, order it. If you can't find it in Hobbycraft, The Range, and there's obviously your art supplies specialist stores, but they can be a bit expensive. So, subscribe. Hope to see you again, and I hope you've enjoyed today's video.